Howdy, donkeys. It's your boy here. I am too warm for the robe right now, so I apologize for that. Just got out the shower too, so I also apologize for that. Cat is here. Cat is catting. My dog is going crazy outside. Don't know if you can hear that. But on this vlog, I think y'all probably know my cat just knocked the laser pointer down. She's trying to get it to play with, and it hit the heater, which turned it on. Okay, I'm gonna take care of that in a second. But what the hell was I saying in this vlog? Yeah, I'm an LGBT person. If in case you didn't already know, I am a demisexual guy, straight though. So, you know, I've definitely gotten a lot of discrimination from LGBT people too. I'm not a highly visible thing. Most things aren't really. Ironically, I find those communities don't they're not as accepting as they claim to be. And there's generally one big reason for that. It's because of all the narcissistic men. Yeah, I feel like if any of my videos are going to be controversial, it's probably going to be this one because, I mean, y'all know how narcissists work. I'm sure you probably do. I hope you do. But yeah, for them to be called out is like a death threat to a narcissist. So, you know, if I call out the fact that, like, you know, me and really everyone I've ever known to use, like, dating apps, specifically ones that are LGBT friendly, those dating apps are absolutely flooded with gay, predatory, narcissistic men. It's the majority. Like, most of the time. Like, even, like, the safe dating apps I've used, like, you still see that. You know what I mean? It may not be as bad as, you know, like, Grindr is, like, the main one, where it's, like, yeah, most of the people on there are generally either, like, old, married, gay guys with kids who are super depraved and probably trying to prey on young men, or it's the narcissistic men, who pose as trans women because they have autogynephilia, and they prey on, well, really everyone. I mean, those narcissists are, like, real bad. There's different types of narcissists, in case you don't know, and, like, yeah, narcissism in general is really bad, but, like, holy crap, those, like, sexual narcissist, autogynephilia kind of ones are, like, wow, that is a scary thing to even delve into. And yeah, I definitely know, like, I mean, I not only know this myself because I'm a smart guy, I've been around long enough to see it, but, like, I know trans people have come out and said this, specifically trans women who are like, gee, there sure are a lot of narcissistic men with weird fetishes who are transitioning and kind of ruining everything that we previously had going for us. Yeah, I can definitely see that. It's estimated that in the 21st century, at least half of trans women, at least in the U.S., are just narcissistic men who are just using it as, like, victim armor. They're using it as an easier way to be predators. Like, it's a whole fucking thing, but I believe it. I have no reason to doubt that, because, yeah. You know, most trans women specifically that I've known of, they're, whoa, you know. That being said, there are definitely actual trans women. You know, I'm not going to be one to generalize and be like, oh, all trans people are this, blah, blah, blah. They're not, but there's a big problem amongst them, or I shouldn't even say that, because, I mean, these people aren't really trans women. Even, there's yet another thing that trans women themselves often come out and say, like, you know, that there's trans women out there who aren't really women. They're weird men who have weird fetishes to fulfill by transitioning, The ultimate goal is, the fact that they're gay men. They want to become attracted to men, but they, for whatever reason, don't want to do it as a man. They just want to transition and, okay, whatever. Whatever. And, yeah, it's pretty obvious, too. Like, even people outside of the LGBT community, like, if they observe one of these narcissistic men for any amount of time, like, they know what is up. Like, it is very obvious. Because I promise you, like, at least half of the trans women that you've seen, you didn't know they were trans women. Because they behaved and spoke and otherwise were, like, women. Like, they're just normal women. But you know very quickly when a man is just posing as a woman for whatever weird sexual reason they have for that, because it's fucking obvious. Because they portray themselves as what they perceive women to be, and that is a sexual object for gratification. Like cis women who act like that are also naturally, like, not being like that. Like, nobody really sexualizes themselves for the most part. So, especially, say, like, you're out in public and you're, like, clearly, like, trying to bring attention to yourself constantly. You get mad when attention isn't on you. You are willing to do any depraved, fucked up thing to bring the attention back to the sexualization of yourself. Like, that is not normal. I am sorry. No matter who you are, that is either something that you're doing, because of some weird, crazy fetish you have, or, like, maybe you were groomed into being that way. Maybe both, maybe something else, but no, dude, like, no. Just no. And yeah, I wanted to bring this up not only because I myself am in the LGBT community, but, like, I'm that kind of person, but, I have other people who are LGBT who I care about who are being preyed on by narcissists. It's very common, like, and there's been some speculation as to what it is, because it is specifically the 21st century. Again, trans women themselves have come out and said, like, specifically older trans women are like, yeah, before, like, 2010 or so, narcissistic men becoming trans wasn't really a thing, or at least it wasn't a common thing. Because it is very common now, and it, like, pretty much instantaneously became common. So that's very interesting to me. As someone who's also scientific, like, I like to know the, like, logical reasons for stuff happening, and it seems like the biggest thing that people think is they definitely credit this to social media a lot. I'm kind of on the fence about that idea myself. Like, I can see how that could be a contributor, but I don't think it's the biggest thing. I think there's something else, some larger societal problem that has kind of pushed narcissistic men toward this trend of becoming trans women. I think it's partly the trans movement itself, not to knock that. That's not what I'm trying to do. But, I don't know. Whatever the reason is, like, being a trans woman is obviously an easy thing for a narcissistic man to do. And that is what a lot of them are doing. But even the ones who aren't doing that, like, narcissistic men are gay. Like, we know that. That's just natural about narcissists. If you're attracted to yourself, and that's always going to be gay, whether you're a man or a woman. Like, that's a gay thing. So they're at the very least bi, but no, they tend to just be straight up gay. And yeah, they tend to be predatory, like how narcissists are. They're more often pedophilic too. So that's also a problem. Okay. I definitely need to shame the people who, like, generalize and say, oh, trans people are like pedophiles or whatever, trying to groom kids. That's not really what's happening. But there is a little bit of truth in that if you're willing to acknowledge narcissistic men who transition as women, as trans women. I don't, personally. I know most people don't, because they're not trans women. They're making a bad name for trans women by posing as them for their own weird benefits, and that's obviously detrimental to the entire trans community, and it's raging, man. Like, God, so many narcissistic men have been flooding into this, and it's been so recent. Like, what happened? I need a definitive answer to satisfy the scientific curiosity in my brain about this. It's quite fascinating, but, well, that all being said, any trans people watching this, I support you. If you're a narcissistic man who went trans for your fetish, I also support you in that I want you to be able to indulge in whatever your shit is without being a fucking predator, okay? Like, I get it, you can't help that you're narcissistic. Narcissism seems to be one of the modes that your brain can possibly switch into when you experience trauma, typically childhood trauma. Okay, some people's brains are wired like mine, where, like, you experience trauma, you get PTSD. That's one concept that most people are at least familiar with. But most people aren't familiar with the fact that there's other things that can happen when you experience trauma. It's not just PTSD, and yeah, narcissism is one of them. I've definitely known a lot of specifically like young boys who were molested at some point in some weird way while they were very young, just boom, flipped into narcissist mode, and that's how their lives continued. And yeah, a lot of those boys, when they're middle-aged, will become trans women, and the narcissism kind of amplifies. Generally at that point, they tend to become even more predatory. So I'm sorry for that. Sorry for all the real trans people out there who are, having this bad name made for them because narcissistic men are taking over your fucking movement. That's really something. So yeah, gotta give my love for all these people. Gotta just say, look, narcissists need to just own what they are. Stop posing as something, because all you're doing is making a bad name for the people who are actually that. Trans women are not narcissistic, but there are definitely a lot of narcissists who become trans women because that's just a favorable thing for them to do now. I would like to see a lot more safety and security for LGBT people. Like, they get enough shit. They don't need to have the additional problem of narcissistic men basically infiltrating their communities and preying on them. Like, they have it bad enough. Okay, you narcissistic men need to learn how to deal with your own shit on your own and leave other people out of it somehow. You want to be an autogynephile, you want to do all your weird shit, fine, you can do that on your own. You need to leave others out of it. You need to leave yourself out of the trans community if you're not really trans. Like, you're just hurting them. I don't know. It's very aggravating. I'm trying to hide my anger now because, like, I've known many people to be abused. Like, there are lots of suicides that occur in the LGBT community because of this very type of abuse that they're getting by people who claim to be a part of their movement. It's sick. It's disgusting. But this video is starting to get a little long now. I'm your donkey boy. Man, this has been a bit of a rant video, as well as a vlog, but I don't really care. It seemed necessary. It really did. So, stay frosty out there. Stay safe, everybody, and stay tuned if you watched. I appreciate it. Bye.